Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 178. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge on the comic forums, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim Knock Klek Octa Rock Lekora Lock Lek Knock Ker Kur Knock Loro Klek No Neck Klek Knock. So says the sensei of the whatnot Seculin, and new member of the eccentric Indigo Lantern Corps.
Woohoo! How's it going, eh?
Good. Jim, on this episode, we're going to talk Blackest Night number 3. It's going to be kind of a targeted episode. I was looking over at my notes, and you and I were going to try to sneak in a recording tomorrow, and I'm like, well, tonight really is a week from our last episode, and I've got 11 pages of notes, so we could really release 2 episodes this week. So I figured we could do like a mini episode right now to give our listeners an episode 1 week after our last one, come back about midweek with a Speeding Bullets style show where we do our Superman, not just Codename Patriot. I want to talk about some of the stuff like right up to the Action Comics that just came out this week, because man, is Superman cool at the moment. I want to talk Secret Six, Wonder Woman, so I've got too much stuff for one show. Jim, our sponsors for this episode are DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com, where you can check out Blackest Night number 5 of 8, which includes a free Green Lantern Corps ring. I want to remind everyone, this month is the month where you get all the other rings. They're all coming out this month. This one's written by Jeff Johns with art and cover by Ivan Rice, Eau Claire Albert, and a variant cover by Rodolfo Migliari. And there's a sketch variant cover also by Ivan Rice and Eau Claire Albert as well. So this is the one, and I'll encourage you to be careful when you check out the cover for this issue because it kind of reveals who the big bad is. The regular price of this issue is $3.99, 40% off, only $2.39. The variant cover is available for $16, but we're talking about Blackest Night this episode because it's just so awesome, and I wanted to do our ad revolving around that. Jim, our in-stock trades Rage of the Month is Preacher, the Book 1 hardcover, which features more blood and blasphemy than any mainstream comic in memory. So says Entertainment Weekly. This volume collects Preacher 1 through 12, plus pinups from Preacher 50 and 66. It's regularly $39.99, 47% off, only $21.19. Volume 1 and 2 are available in trade, $14.99 each regularly, 47% off, only $7.94 each, which is great as a discounted method. You get the first 17 issues. I want to thank InStock Trades for supporting us with those 2 options, and DCBService.com for continuing to support us as well. So it's a great way to get comic books at a discount. Jim, what kind of a podcast are we?
Well, Sean, we are a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth in the plot line, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're reviewing. So if we're going over something you haven't read, you may want to come back later so you could better enjoy the show.
Jim, I want to remind everybody about the Hero Initiative. If you haven't been supporting the Hero Initiative, please consider doing so. Like I've said before, and comics4site.com, actually, for John Ostrander as well. There's a number, and both of those are going to be in our links this episode, so please make sure, if you're checking out those sites, consider donating. The cost of a comic book, if we all pitch in, just a few bucks, if we're all doing it as a group, we are collectively making a huge difference. So don't think that, geez, a couple bucks from me doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, it does. Every little bit helps if we're all doing it. So let's, as a group, pitch in together and try to support the comic creators that really keep giving us this hobby and keep supporting us. If you take a look at, I'm going to talk in this episode, Gail Simone has a new Wonder Woman forum that's over at comicbookresources.com. Comic book creators across the internet and at conventions are constantly finding new and fun ways to connect with the fans, whether they're doing interviews on podcasts, doing interviews on websites, they're coming to conventions to meet us, or through forums, just to have that one-on-one interaction. So this is a great chance through heroinitiative.org and also for comics4site.com to really do our part to kind of just say, hey, thanks, and you're part of our community, and we want to support you as well. So I'm a big believer in those things. That's why I do them on the show. So I just wanted to shout those things out. I thought it was really cool. Jim, without further ado, let's talk Blackest Night.
There they are, all alone except for that old character.
Dude. Blackest Night number 3.
Man, we talk about body count, and I joked around that the body count is just going up. Man, this is a limited mini series or event or however it's being worded that there's nobody who is safe. And I absolutely love that about the series, that people are dropping left and right. Dead is dead, or is it dead? I don't know. We got a lot of issues, and we get a lot of answers in this issue. I love
this
that.
explains a lot about what actually these things are. And I do use the term things now.
Yes.
But the cover art, just right from the get-go, what a beautiful shot of the Blackest Night Justice League.
Yes.
I mean, if you can say it's for how twistedly evil it is beautiful artwork.
Oh, my God, yeah. And I just like the serenity that Black Hand has in the middle there as he's clutching Bruce's skull.
You know what the sad part is? I really want that skull. Like, I mean, that would look great on my dresser. Like, I want them to make a replica Bruce Wayne skull.
Yeah.
So I could have one. And how weird am I that I say that? But I'm not alone. I know it.
Dude, right now there are people nodding their head, and I'm one of them.
Because tell me that wouldn't be like a cool like conversation piece.
Dude, that would be actually not a difficult thing to do. You get the skull, you put a little luminous lights inside it, the black goop seeping out of the mouth. I don't know, that may be a little nasty, but I don't know. I think we could pull it off.
And I could put my little plastic black ring in its eye.
Yeah, there we go.
To mimic that coming out of it. Except, no, I would want one that actually has that effect somehow to it. So
yeah,
I'm very picky on this. Now, all right, either I'm an idiot or this is a really great swerve. I thought the opening bit with Jason and his girlfriend was being done as like a character development to show why he and Stein might start merging more often, because we've seen Stein already appear, or at least references to Stein already appear in this. I didn't see where this was heading with her at all. Although in hindsight, I will admit in hindsight, I do think I'm a moron for missing it, but I did not see this coming.
Well, here's the thing. When I saw this opening scene, I was like, oh my God, this is not going to end well. And I didn't know which one. Because, you think about it, with a lot of changes going on in the JLA, Firestorm may not have his place in the new lineup, so Jason could have a huge bullseye on his chest.
Well, we see the new lineup in this. Remember, we do see the cover reveal in this issue.
Right.
Did you end up seeing that?
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, you're saying as you were reading it, you didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm talking, okay. This is like when I first opened the book.
Right.
Page 1.
Yeah, I should say that. I've already seen the cover lineup beforehand, so I knew he wasn't going to be on Justice League. But I also was thinking, there's all these rumors about a second Justice League book, so I'm thinking, okay, why wouldn't you put Firestorm on that team? Because he's a cool character for that? I don't know. I wasn't thinking that she was targeted.
I really didn't think it was going to be her. I didn't know if it was going to be him. It was just something. And then I also started thinking, like, you know what? Hold on. This is Jeff Johns. He likes laying on a good background and a good story. This really could have been just that kind of introduction to people who don't know these two. He's not a super popular character or well known by everybody across the boards. There very easily could have been people reading Blackest Night who really didn't know who he was, didn't know the makeup or any of the stuff that was going on with Firestorm. So I'm thinking, foolishly in my head thinking, maybe he can make it. Maybe this is just a background story.
Yeah, I was thinking linking this to Adventure Comics number 2. We're seeing like great relationship, character drama in that issue that wasn't linked to anything bad.
Yeah.
Where you have Wonder Girl and Superboy, they're having lunch together, which we're going to have to talk about on an upcoming show. But that was where my head was at. But I do think I'm a moron for that now, because you're right in the sense that it sounds like you were even more thinking that something was going to happen to them.
I had that initial feeling, and it's funny because when you're reading Blackest Night, you got to think I don't think zombie anymore. Mm-hmm. I think the horror movies.
I do too.
And what's the rule of a horror movie? Whenever you have a couple who has a fight, one of them will die, guaranteed, just because they'll have that unresolved of their love dying, or both of them will die. It's the whole, when you get a couple, when there's a couple that's highlighted, someone's going to die from that couple just because. That's just the way horror movies go. So I'm like, I should have seen it coming. Really should have, but I'm like,
Okay, going on your theory, Green Arrow and Black Canary cannot be in this series at all.
Right. Oh, God, I hope not.
Yeah, because one or both of them might die if you go under that theory.
Well, you think about it. The Hawks, both dead. Ralph and Sue. There's the Aquaman, Aquagirl, Garth, Tempest. It's, you look at it, whenever you see you get in love interests together, someone's got to die.
Wow. Columbia University. I loved this bit because it's such a difficult stage of your life, early college, trying to figure out your direction. The pressure on a couple is very real. Jason's right, but it's something that's hard to see at the time. You need to get yourself sorted out as an individual before you can move forward as a couple. This was really great writing. I think what worked was the uncomfortable nature of this section really fit what happens in true relationships. Those are real traumas, and not even necessarily trauma, but real development, real emotional moments that you really do have to deal with as a couple. And everyone's been there on some level. I really took this to be more of a breakup time apart test for them versus where it was going. But the reality is that I do believe they genuinely love each other. But timing, age, and normal circumstances with growing into your own is affecting them. It's just really good opening material.
Oh, definitely. Great way just to, it was the calm before the storm, because you turn the page and things completely change.
And you'd see, we jump from this right into the opening of Black Lantern JLA versus Barry and Hal. And that opening page fight is a really sharp Barry sequence in particular, at least to me, because this is their old team, and they're going after them psychologically.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, it was that two-page spread. Well, it was like a page and a half and those two extra sidebars, and you see them just doing the little mental games, the mind games that are just, the patented battle technique for these Black Lanterns. But one of the things I really digged was with Hal, because he's fighting off the Hawks. He's got the shield and the mace, and he's using his own mace, generated by the ring. And it was just something I was like, that kind of fits, because the Hawks are always about that's their style of fighting. He's not using the big green hand. No, he's getting there up close, knuckling down, kind of has a, if you will, even the Hawk attitude type thing going on as he's throwing down with him. So I thought that was a kind of a cool thing to see Hal doing. And, once again, it was funny we mentioned Green Arrow and Black Canary in the very beginning part, because that's who Hawks is. Like, I'd rather be killing a Green Arrow, but I'll take your pompous.
Well, and it's because of the feud between during the Satellite era, the feud between Carter Hall and Green Arrow was, deeply rooted there. And what I liked about this sequence in particular, it brought the history to light for older readers and new readers. So it gave us all kind of a common ground. It's like, this is what the relationship was like back then. Elongated Man talks about his long relationship with Barry that was really developed when he was a backup feature during the Silver Age and then, continued into the Justice League. I like that, because great comics do this. They give us all a common ground. That continuity then becomes cool for everybody because we all understand it because it's explained. And it was a really short few couple panels that put us all on the same page, and you can do that really quickly. Ronnie and Barry was another really great clue to the puzzle. They discuss Stein and how Ronnie may be a shadow of Firestorm at the moment, but because Stein is missing, the Parasite is targeting a replacement of sorts for that relationship. I'm actually deeply looking forward to Stein and Jason versus Ronnie for reasons we're going to discuss later.
Yeah.
I do want to note how cool it was to see Barry gathering facts. He isn't looking just for what is the same about this Black Lantern version of Ronnie, but also, more importantly, what's different. Even though this is a highly emotional situation, our boy is really showing some great police work, and that's what makes him such a good scientist. And, of course, he goes for the ring, but this is where it leads to this teamwork piece of reporting his discoveries to Hal. Really well written. Number one, rings are rooted to them. Number two, these people reform if they're damaged. Number three, the power levels are increasing. And this showcase of a superhero partnership, just totally buddy moment, worked for me. I so needed this as a companion to Rebirth, as far as just to kind of get my head around where is Barry going from here? What is Barry going to be like in the DC universe? And why should I care? And I do care because of this.
I'd say this issue, this series, but also this issue has really getting me more and more into wanting to read a Barry series. I'm seeing this guy, and I'm like, this is a pretty cool Flash, okay? Yeah, and I'm seeing him as dealing with the worst type of situation here, and I like how he's keeping his cool. I like the style of this guy, and the stuff you talk about, just the detective nature. I'm thinking I'm going to really dig a Barry Allen Flash series.
Dude, and with that Francis Manipul art that's going on at Adventure Comics, that going over to Flash as well. I'm loving Ethan Van Sciver, so I'm not saying anything negative about him, but we know who the artist is going to be of the Flash series. I'm like, oh wow, this is very cool. Beautiful art right now in this mini, but we're also getting beautiful art in the main series. I'm like, whoa, that is going to be sweet. I do think this is a great companion though for people who are reading Flash Rebirth. I do think to see where Barry's going, I think especially after issue 4 right now, we've got this Barry now in the Rebirth series as well, and I think this does all work very well together. Yay, Adam.
I know. Oh, my God. The return of Ray just had me cheering, but there was just such times throughout this issue that I was just like, I wanted to reach in the comic and give the guy a hug. Because I was just like, oh, my God, this dude, he's been through a lot already in these couple issues. And, I feel so bad for this guy that I'm like, man, he's just, we say Tim Wayne has problems with his friends, staying alive. Well, I guess what? Ray Palmer is now joining that crew. Oh, man.
I liked the battle damage in the art, too. The Black Lantern ring would know, because it's pulling from the form of Carter. So the Black Lantern ring, which I guess from this issue, we're guessing that the ring is pulling the information from the corpse. Is that how you took this?
That's kind of, how I took it.
Okay. So the Black Lantern ring would know from Carter's knowledge that what Ray would do coming through. So it was prepared for him, but Ray, fortunately being the veteran that he is, was able to one-up and at least survive by getting into the ring. The narrow escape part, and I like the fact that we didn't see this on screen. We get what Ray gave us information-wise as he came through, but it's bones or dark matter, the unseen skeletal structure of the universe, microscopic wormholes channeling the energy to some place for some reason. We have this verification that the rings are parasitic now and sending it to somewhere else for a purpose. But that's all because Ray had to shrink himself down so far that he was in there on that level, because otherwise he'd be toast.
Yeah, you talk about the battle damage. That was just a really cool couple panels. That one where he comes back and like, why did these things go after Carter and Kendra first? My best friend is dead, Hal, and I don't think he's coming back this time. And you see the black eye on the one and the torn mask, and I was just like, oh my God. But he's still the hero. He's still reporting. He's still giving out the info. Because we talked about it in the very beginning of this episode. One of the classic things that the veterans know to do, communication is the key. As soon as he was out, as soon as he was able to, he presented the report to the others. So if anything happens to him, they now know what he knows. You got to keep the communication, keep the lines open. That was something just in this one little page of him coming out, boom, dropping what's going on, and then he was allowed to feel his emotion. I ate that up. That's a veteran move right there. And once again, I was like, this is another hero that's coming back that, okay, I'm maybe want to see some more of this guy. I was always a Ryan Choi fan, still a Ryan Choi. I think he's a really cool Adam when he's got the right person writing him, who does that nice blend of the comedy and the action and the scientist thing kind of combination. Well, now I'm seeing with Ray, there's some hero qualities in him that I'm digging. That, who knows? I think I may like a Ray Palmer Adam series or his part in Justice League or wherever he's going to show up again.
I agree with you, but he's a little misguided. And I want to tell you why. No, I want to tell you why he's a little misguided. He just said that Carter's his best friend, but he's mine. Mine. Mine.
Okay, there's the orange glow. Dude.
Over at the JLA headquarters, Aquaman's code was used. And this has been a nice build, as that the crypts of the headquarters were shown in previous issues, so we knew where this is heading, this nice horror film tone.
Dude, talk about horror tone film. Exactly. They come in, the lights are down. I'm sitting here reading this. Okay, and as soon as I heard they used Aquaman's code, I'm like, dude, get out now! Run! I'm yelling at the comic like as I was watching the movie up on screen going, get out of here! What are you, a moron? Go! I was 100% convinced that Aquaman was going to come flying out of nowhere, and we were going to see Firestorm versus Aquaman.
Most of the images on the screen that we see are from the other spin-offs or the main mini, but I think this is the first time we've seen things like Osiris and Kahndaq, and the unknown soldier bit was so funny.
Oh my God.
I have a name, and then they cut us off.
I love that. I was
so
just
funny.
like, I was sitting there and I'm reading that going, wait, I have a name. Oh my God, that's the Unknown Soldier. That is just so perfect. Because it's, the Rise of the Dead. Why not? Let's bring him out here. And I liked how they did this. It was the one panel, boom, done. I don't think we'll see him again or even a reference to him again, but this was a great usage of it.
Well, it is a great way to show that this is a whole world thing, that it's happening all over the place and anywhere, especially with Kahndaq and all that. Who knows if we're going to see Osiris again? But you don't necessarily need to see everybody. You just need to know that it's happening everywhere, and that's a great reference at that point. Mira and Firestorm meet up for the first time. I gotta say, dude, I would read a Mira if they're not going to do an Aquaman series. A Mira mini, a Mira monthly. Mira is becoming very cool to me very fast.
Dude, man, I like the fact that she was able to figure out that they're emotionally driven, because she's sitting there, and as she's talking to the person, like, hey, keep calm. They're emotionally driven. They're just like sharks. If you splash the water, they'll sense it, and they'll consume you. I was like, yes, we got somebody who's figuring out another piece of the puzzle. It's
the nature of her powers, too. When you think about the powers that she uses, she has to center and focus herself all the time. So she started realizing, wait a minute, if I watch my emotions, if I hold my, Mira is a veteran. Mira's been around a long, long time. So she's not like, some fresh, she's really been through a lot in Atlantis. So it's great to remind us all really quickly that this is not somebody who's new to the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. It's funny, though. I do chuckle with Jason because, like, Aquawoman? Because he doesn't know what to call her because he's never met her, right?
Right.
So, yes, I thought that was kind of cool that he didn't know who she was. It's one of those things about Jason that I really dig, that he is this kid, that he doesn't know what's going on, and he's not the wily veteran that we're seeing, but he has thrown down, he has been in some big events, and he does know what he's doing. He's a powerhouse that needs a strong leader. He needs someone guiding. That's why the scenes with him and John Stewart, I love that, because you have that aged veteran who knows what to do, and you have the kid who's looking for that mentor who needs that guiding. It's the senior partner, the veteran cop with the rookie, showing him the ropes. I love seeing that type of stuff.
Taking it to another good comic storytelling area, though, we always talk about, does continuity make it hard for people to jump on board? Not if you use characters like this, and smart writers know to do this. If you're going to be using a lot of characters with deep-rooted, rich history, the one way the good trick to make sense of why you're asking questions like this is to bring in the new character, the new guy, and have him ask. There, we get a quick explanation of who Mara is, why she's there, what her deal is, all through a character that it makes sense to ask. And then, if you're a newer fan, you're now attached to Jason. You're following his ride. If you're a longtime fan, you're following what's going on with Mira. You got her perspective. So there's something in that whole situation for both sets of fans. And it's cool.
Oh, definitely.
Evil Firestorm just rocks. Turning the air into gunpowder was geniusly evil. That Ralph and Hal's panel with the chat about their relationship, I remember them working together, but I never remember this deep relationship between the two, and I like that being referenced here. Also, Hal's being a ladies' man. Again, digging deep to do anything to gain an emotional response from one of the most controlled guys that they're going to face. Compassion. We've got to talk compassion. They bring it out in Ray when it comes to Jean. He knows his ex was crazy and has trouble accepting how premeditated what she did was. And this has elements of reality because you see reactions of family members and former lovers into great tragedies all the time on television and film and in stories where there's this disbelief. And I'm talking about in reality. It doesn't have to be even a fiction story. How can you love someone so deeply and accept that they've become a monster? You have to have memories of who they were before. Was it mental collapse? And is that a reason to feel compassion for them? There's a fine line there that gets confusing fast. And that, I think it's the hardest on people like Ray. Ray reads very real to me. Ray understands how horrifying what she did was because it was done to people that he loves dearly. But he loved her dearly. So it puts him in this horrible place that's confusing. And it should be. And I like that exploration of it, yet, that he would feel compassion. And it is something that's a unique emotion that you don't get very much.
Oh, God, yeah. And I tell you, he was the right guy to introduce this compassion with, by the way. And I ate that up. And it was funny because as I'm sitting there, and she's like, it was an accident. And Sue comes back with, Gene brought along a flamethrower just in case. She knew what she was doing. And I loved that, just that little banter, just that extra egging on. And I tell you, I had another just stupid moment because I'm sitting there reading it, and I see the compassion, and I see that the outline of him is in the indigo color. It didn't even dawn on me that the indigo tribe would even make an appearance. So when they pop in, I was like, oh, well, duh, I should have known they'd be there. What the hell?
It was funny. One thing I noticed here, too, is because they were talking so much about there's little compassion. I'm talking about the Black Lanterns in our society, but that you get so much from it when you get it. They choose that moment to take Ray, almost like emotions are like Pokemon and they have to get them all. Do you think they need to target each emotion, or are deep emotions enough regardless? Like, do you think that their goal with Black Lanterns are we've got to get the whole spectrum of emotions, or... I'm thinking that's the case, but what are your thoughts? Am I off on that?
I was thinking that, but then I don't think so. I think what they're going for is, they're going just for the power, and the emotion's the power, and there's some emotions that are more powerful than others. I think when they saw the compassion, they're like, yes, that's a golden one. That's going to give us a lot of power. And they knew there was going to be a lot of energy coming from that.
Here's my thinking, though, and I actually have a reason why I'm thinking this. Because from what we learn later about darkness and its war with the light, and that the light is this spectrum of emotion, they're trying to extinguish the light. So are they absorbing those emotions to then use them against? I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
I think the emotions, their power. And that's this, certain emotions give them more power, certain emotions don't. Because you think about it, they instill a lot of fear in people.
Right.
And when they see fear, they don't shy away saying, oh, we got plenty of fear, and we want to get this. I think they're trying to get the brightest emotion they can get. And I think compassion is a huge one, and that's why they made the comment about how you don't get it that often, so when you do, it's really good. So that's where I think they're coming from on that.
If you look back to the previous issues, though, they really have hit every emotion, I think, except compassion. So they have gotten them all except compassion.
Oh, probably. Probably have gotten them all except compassion. They haven't gotten greed yet.
No, but they will. You're right. They didn't. I don't think they hit greed. Yeah, because they haven't encountered Larfleeze. But you know that's coming.
Well, they kind of did in I think in Green Lantern Corps, because they first showed Larfleeze as all of his victims rising, and he goes, "Oh crud!"
But I mean, they haven't had a cliffhanger.
Right.
That wasn't an actual confrontation yet, so we haven't seen what that looks like.
Right.
Like they didn't get. I guess what I'm saying is they didn't get Larfleeze.
Right. They haven't gotten him yet, or anybody that would be agreed. So.
Because in order for them the energy to go up, they have to take the heart. Right? Is that what we're seeing here?
Yes.
Once they take the heart, that's when their power levels go up. So they wanted Ray's heart there to get compassion.
Right.
So I don't know. And you're right. Maybe it's not that maybe I'm off. They want to get the emotion. So we're both agreed that no matter what, they're trying to get the emotion. I'm just questioning whether or not it might be more specific to a particular kind of emotion, but we're both agreed at least on.
Yeah, and it could very easily be that, but I don't know. It's one of those things where, we do get a lot of answers here, but there's always going to be some questions left.
Right.
And I like that, and that's the thing you like seeing going into this, because it's funny because this is only issue 3. We're not halfway through with the series yet, and we've seen an awful lot of stuff happen. And that's something you got to love in an event, that every issue is giving you that bang and that holy crud moment.
The Indigo Lanterns show up, and like you just said, we actually get to see our first serious resistance to the Black Lanterns. The scary part is that we'll learn fast that this isn't even enough to end the threat, it just buys them some time. I like that they have this ancient warrior race quality about them, like they have training from her combat style. And then you see his too. That could either be from hunting from food or for protection. I want to know more about them because I really liked the fighting visuals from them both in that. I thought it was really a sharp sequence.
Yeah, and I tell you, it was interesting with me. One of the things I noticed, because we see them just open up, and I do like the fact that the Indigo tribe are not lanterns. They have these staves, so they're a little bit different. And, you gotta, different is good, especially, just when they're creating this whole new universe of the Color Wars. I like the fact that they threw out something near different, but they also were able to sever the connection. But the thing I noticed, they only were able to sever the connection of a dead risen. They didn't sever a connection of a living person turned. They only took out Ralph and Sue, not Carter and Kendra. Now, it makes me wonder, can they not separate that connection? Is there a difference between a dead coming back or a living killed who becomes a dead?
Did they get every one of the ones who were dead? Because they did Ralph and Sue.
They got Ralph and Sue only.
Mm-hmm.
But you see a scene where they're blasting John and then smacking Carter in the face with the staff. They do a sweeping motion. They smack Carter in the face, and then they blast John out of the picture, and then sever the connection. So I'm like, I don't know if it's just because they can't, or if those were the only two they were able to take out that time, because you can't, it looks like it takes time and concentration, and you figure, go for the two threats. The one's going for the heart, the other one is the backup going for that heart. We got to take those two down, because those were the two who were focused on Ray. So they were the immediate threat, whereas the other ones, blast them out, give yourself some distance so you can then regroup, is one way I see it.
Now, do we see Ralph and Sue again? Do they show up later, or are they gone?
I think they're gone, dude.
Yeah, that's interesting then, because I guess I didn't take it as the threat was vanquished, but I'm looking back into later parts of the issue, and you make an interesting point there. So I think will be interesting to see is if we do see Ralph and Sue again.
Back. Yeah. I think they're gone. I think that's it. I think that's, they had their shot at pulling them back. They did it, and now that the connection's severed, they can't come back.
That's an interesting catch, because I didn't take it that way, but you have a very valid point. I like that. They teleport the team to the Justice League headquarters, and it's interesting that Indigo 1 finds kinship with Ray. The life that he led in sort of the Atom shows that he can adapt to their kind of light, and their kind of lifestyle even. I don't want to see him become an Indigo Lantern permanently, but it was interesting that she picked up on his compassion, the way that the Star Sapphires kind of locked onto Carol Ferris kind of thing.
Right.
That really worked for me. And I don't think we're going to see Ray go that route, but there would be something where she would feel like a kinship there. They reference the possessions of this culture, which shows us that this nomad tribe gave that up when they gave up their individual identities, too.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting about how, they're doing that. And you think about that one pass, you see all the statues, the tributes to the dead heroes that they've had. Not sure. It looks like maybe a bat belt. I'm not sure. There's definitely a quiver with the arrows in the background. Just throughout the stuff, I thought that was another neat catch. Just thinking about this tribe. I want to know more about the Indigo tribe, and I know we're going to get more. I have confidence and faith in it. But this is one I would actually, if they were to continue on with these tribes, if they survive, if all these different tribes survive the War of Light, this is one of the ones I definitely want to know more about.
We'd have trouble living in that culture, Jim. While I find it incredibly interesting and respect the discipline, I'm very locked into my own individuality. So, that's something that for me, I couldn't, because they've become kind of they haven't become like a hive mind kind of thing, but they've definitely been like, we are one group, we walk around together, and this is our lifestyle. Even the way you can see that by the way they fight and the way they react to situations, there isn't a whole lot of differences between the two other than one's a male and one's a female. So it is interesting to learn more about their culture and how that came about.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
The War of the Light and Darkness is described, and this was really cool for me because how light and darkness were at war is a very religious concept. So basically all sentient beings are powering the emotional spectrum that's splintered out of the white. Is that the way you read that?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, you have the whole, and then there was light, and you have the darkness trying to rebel off of the light, and the, darkness breaking down that light, that white light, that pure and just, ever light that now broken down into these emotional spectrums. And, you think about it, just almost probably every religion has these moments of creationism where there is that perfect society and then something breaks it down. The Catholic faith, the Catholic faith has, of course, the Garden of Eden with the snake and the apple, the temptation, end of that story. Out of paradise, mankind is, because they bit the forbidden fruit. You have these moments where, you have this purity that is just perfect and everything's great that always gets broken down by the force of evil, and then you have the constant struggle going through. So I like seeing that explained, not in a religious context, but more of, it kind of is a scientific explanation, kind of a
lore too, like a lore.
Yeah, a lore. Oh, definitely has some folklore in there, but you can pull pieces of this into various religions. So I kind of like how they did this. This is basically saying, yes, the universe was created this way. So if you have your religious beliefs, yeah, you can still hold on to those beliefs. Because that was one thing about, you think about the Guardians of the Galaxy, these super powerful beings that, did all this stuff. And, they're not the creators of the universe in this. There's something else beyond that. And that's what I took from this. That's why the Scar was able to take down the Guardians, so easily, because she's tapped into the dark power, the dark matter, the evil side of the bright light, so.
And I have some theories on where this could potentially go. We'll talk about at the end, but especially with that 2-page at the end with the Book of the Black Hand. I think there was some reveals in there of some things that we need to keep a major eye on for who might be able to tap into the white. So we'll have to talk about that. But I also took that as any individual, like on a daily basis, like on a bad day, you could add rage, fear, will, and hope, for example, as a combination. So, we're all powering just a lot of different areas of the emotional spectrum. The tribe had this deep understanding of this, and it reminded me of fantasy literature. I read a lot of growing up Tolkien. And, Tolkien, it's not just The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. That dude with the Silmarillion and then just the Unfinished Tales and the Lost Tales, these are all letters that he was crafting and sending home. And he created such a rich mythos to his world that there's really hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years even, of explanation of what Middle-earth is like. This is the kind of world Johns is crafting here in Green Lantern. I mean, wow. This is really deep.
And he's building, stuff off of this that other writers could take it and run with.
Sure.
Especially, I love how it broke down each of the different colors and, just give you that explanation of who they are. Now, if you're reading Blackest Night, you probably got a pretty good understanding of the different colors by now. I don't think any of this really gave us any, brand new, oh, wow, I didn't know that before. But the way it's told, I didn't read this as same old rehashing. I was sitting there, I was reading because we're getting this from the Indigo perspective. We're getting, a little bit more in the story. And I was just like, oh, cool. Oh, and it really,
it's never been, but it's never been explained like this before.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It really does build upon it at a very deep level. The concept of us as invaders because of the darkness also came through this, which is, I think that's part of the new mythos as well. I've never seen it that way. We are like an infestation to the darkness. It was here first. So our world being the initial target also makes strategic sense because we're the anthill or the beehive before they take out the rest. We always get involved whenever there's a mess. We always go in and stop it. So they want to take us out because we are the first spot of the infestation they want to hit. And that's really what it is.
Yeah, definitely a good place to start would be Earth with its the focus of heroes. And you also get a huge volume of resources they can tap into here.
Right.
Now, you think about just how many dead heroes and villains we have, plus they're going after regular people as well who have some type of connection, and who knows how that connection's going to grow. Think about it this way. If they succeed, in taking out the heroes, think about even more they're going to go after. They'll go after the regular, everyday, average people of Earth and, pull them into this mess. Have them feed even more, and who knows, maybe make just, basic drones out of them.
The dead aren't wearing the rings are wearing the dead was discussed here by the Indigos, and during the discussion with the Indigos, I should say. And one of the things I really like here is that everybody involved, not just the Indigo Lanterns, all of the heroes are throwing out their own theories on what's going on here. We're seeing things from Ray. We're seeing things from Hal. Ralph turned to ash. Sue had no reaction. Interesting clues. I did like the Indigo analysis of our society. Many of our ways they probably abandoned because of the dangers to them, and it was interesting. I do like how this all leads to the need for the splintered forces of light to come together against the darkness. But, dude, this is going to be so tough. Hal and Sinestro, I could see them uniting, and Hal and Carol as well, but Carol and Sinestro, not as comfortable as we've seen in recent happenings. St. Walker would help, but would he team with Larfleeze, for example, after recent events? The Red Lanterns, how would they coexist with everybody else? Uniting these forces is not going to be so easy. And that's the hard part is you've got to have representatives from each, I'm guessing, to mount an offensive.
You need every color, to form the full spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else asks, we got these black lanterns, are we going to have white lanterns? And that's a question they dance around. Now, my thinking is this. We're going to see white lanterns, but they're going to be a member of each of the different corps. And it's kind of like when my powers combine, I become Captain Planet. Well, I think when these all work together, each one of them will become a White Lantern. I think
I've got a different theory.
What? Oh, you got a different theory.
I've got a different theory. I'll tell you what it is right now, since we're throwing it out.
Okay.
I think each of the representatives in some way are going to tap into the Phantom Stranger. I think the Phantom Stranger is going to be the White. I think he is going to be, and I think you need each of those representatives for him on some level. I think that in the back, they gave us a crucial clue that I don't know how it quite connects yet. So, I know the way that I said that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I don't have it all yet. But I think each one of those representatives and the Phantom Stranger are somehow needed to have that white. I don't think we're going to see white lanterns. I think we're going to see some manifestation of the white, that we're going to see a deeper explanation of what the Phantom Stranger is, and he's got something to do with the white.
Oh, dude, and I tell you, as you're saying that, I'm like, I know exactly what clue you're talking about, because I saw that, and I was looking, why is he there? What's going on with that? But I didn't even put that together, that he could be the White Lantern. That would be a nice clue. That would be something kind of cool to see. And the other thing I was actually thinking also, but I've abandoned this theory, but this was one of my initial theories, was that, you know how we saw in the Titans the series, the Blackest Night thing, with Dove, not coming back because he was at peace. If Dove would form a White Lantern, and we would start seeing these people that they tried to bring back that, didn't come back for whatever reason, and each one of them rises up as a White Lantern.
Interesting.
Thinking maybe, and once again, it could happen if all the colors get together, they send out the white light, and then we see the White Lanterns rise up. So
right.
That could happen as well. So it's funny, as we're throwing out these theories and we're pretty solid behind it, it takes you 5 minutes to go, it could be this. Hey, what about this? So,
like I said, that's why I said, I'm not 100% because it hasn't totally fleshed out for me yet. And my theory right now is that I think the Phantom Stranger is a key player in the white end of things.
Mm-hmm.
But, I could be wrong. We'll find out. That's it. I liked your theory about possibly seeing some – I guess my question is, what does at peace mean? And can they tap into people who are at peace, or does the white mean something else? Is that going to manifest differently than them coming back? Because I don't – you're right, though. It could be some form of brightness, some sort of angelic manifestation, right, which would look very different than what it looks like when the – dead rise. My question is, I guess, would the white need, though, these people who are at peace? Because the black has this parasitic relationship. Does the white need that? I don't know. Or is that going to manifest differently? I'm curious to see how and if that plays out that way, what it looks like.
Yeah, because I would think, that it would be the difference being the black is the parasitic relationship. These white, bright light would be them offering up their energy to save their loved ones.
Okay.
Like we saw in one of the limited series, the Jonathan Kent of Earth, but we never saw Jonathan rise up. even in Blackest Night Superman, we never saw the Black Lantern Jonathan Kent.
Well, there's
What
two
if
more.
Jonathan-
There's two more issues though.
Right, yeah, I know. But I'm thinking, what if Jonathan Kent is also one of those people at peace? Tell me how cool that would be. A Black Lantern's about to, smack around, Clark, and you just hear out of nowhere, get your hands off my son. Bam! And the punches, or whatever it would be, and you see Jonathan Kent standing there in the bright white glow of whatever it would be, kind of like, that whole, back from the grave, celestial angel type, look to him. For me, I would geek out, I would cheer, I'd hold up my hands, and I'd give a big woohoo!
I don't think we'd see that in Blackest Night Superman, though, if it goes down that way, because that almost seems too soon.
No, probably not. But
no, I mean, there could be something we would see later. Yeah. I don't know. I think Blackest Night Superman is going to be a lot of our answers as far as what's going to happen there. As long as we're talking about that, let's just take a little tangent real quick and talk a little bit of Blackest Night Superman, because we saw the return of basically the Earth 2 Superman and his wife Lois, and they went after Ma. Mainly for the purpose of trying to get an emotional charge out of Clark and Superboy, two people again who they're targeting because they've risen before. The two of them have died and come back.
Yeah, I dig this issue because, especially when they first showed, the Black Lantern Superman show up, and he comes across those two lovers at the movie theater. He first flashes on them, and their love, and and then it becomes fear, and then you just see fear, 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 and he just went through on a feeding fest of fear, and that was just something I was like, dang, this is kind of cool, in a sick, weird way.
It's nice to see Pete Ross having some kind of peaceful existence after a lot of what he's gone through.
Yeah, Pete.
But then the black clouds do roll in, and we get to see what that looks like, especially with what happens to the sheriff when he gets sucked through the floor.
Yeah, I tell you, the one guy said, I want a little action, I want a little excitement. I tell you, no, you don't. I'm in agreement with that sheriff. Like, come on, it's nice and calm here. You want it nice and peaceful. Be careful what you wish for, because you may get it, buddy.
It's one of the things that I really have always found charming about Superman is those moments that you get where you see him at the table with Ma, you see him with Connor there. Crypto is becoming one of my favorite supporting cast members. Adventure Comics #2, he was just brilliant in it. I loved the bit, and we'll throw a spoiler warning on at the beginning. I want to talk a little bit. Let's just talk a little Adventure Comics #2 and just talk this kind of thing because it kind of all fits together at the moment.
Yeah.
You have these great moments where Connor's finally back together and having the talk with Wonder Girl. And you get this great moment where Ma, again, just like we're seeing them around the table in Blackest Night Superman, Ma again realizes, hey, I got to step back a little bit, let these two have a private dinner together. They went off walking. They have this really just great, charming moment together, and Ma supports it. Ma is there for them. And I think to me, that was just a really great moment. But not only that, Krypto was under the table for part of it. But then all of a sudden, he's floating the table up into the sky so they could have this really cool moment that you only get in like Lois and Clark, the TV show, or in Smallville where, there's these dream sequences or something like that where he's floating above Lana's bed or something. You get these moments where those powers are reacting without them even realizing that it's happening. And I always like that about the Superman universe. Now, in the case of Blackest Night Superman, their little dinner is ruined. Because Krypto notices that something's up, and the two of them start flying to the graves, and oh man!
Well, Krypto hears it first, and that was very appropriate. That the dog, who naturally has better hearing than humans do, would hear it first, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, hold on, you hear that? Yeah, and they jump into action. That sequence. When they're like, come on, Connor. And he's opening up his shirt. Connor's getting ready. I'm like, oh, dang, yes.
And it was interesting to see, though. I love the Blackest Night, or the Black Lantern, I should say, is the Blackest Night costumes. No, the Black Lantern costumes, like Black Lantern Earth 2 Superman. He looks really cool in that. It has the trademark S, his version of the S, which I really like, something that feels very classic. And he looks powerful. He looks bad, like you're going to have a tough time taking this guy down. It was one of the things that I really enjoyed about Infinite Crisis was his return. And that how we got to see his evolution, his story, how he became a little misguided due to Alexander Luthor and that relationship in there. But then we saw him come back to the light. He stood up, he knuckled up, and had these wonderful moments with his Lois and what that life was like. And now to see this man twisted and perverted like that, it to me is one of the more interesting little tidbits in all of this, especially when his wife comes back and throws Crypto through the wall.
Oh, yeah. But I love seeing Clark's reaction where, when he first starts attacking Connor, he's got fear, will, rage, hope, and love all mixed throughout him. He's got all these emotions going. He's got that really cool Superman, rage going on, but there's more to Soup than that, just that one emotion. And I like seeing that, that they're seeing that.
And he notices right away, though, you're not Kal-El. Throughout that whole thing, he's recognizing that you cannot be this man. I've fought with you. And Superman is one of those guys that would realize that. He is one of those guys that would catch that. Blackest Night Superman Black Lantern Superman, I should say, throws Connor to the wolves. And I liked seeing Kal regroup with him. It made sense that he would regroup. The two of them need to gather together, come up with a better plan, because this is going to get bad fast. And it switches over to Zor-El's return in front of Allura and Kara. And I'm glad that they went to that route, too, because that Kara is becoming one of my favorite DC characters. She went from being somebody who was a C-lister to me to very much a high B-lister. I really enjoy reading her every month. I think she's just a wonderful, rich character. She's somebody, if I had to cut my budget down and I couldn't read Supergirl, I would really miss reading Supergirl now. Whereas before I was enjoying reading her, but I didn't have like a high attachment to the character. I am so invested in her right now, and I'm almost ready to call her an A-lister at this point for myself, because of, especially after that Gilding Day issue of hers, I'm just, she's become such a great, well-developed character that, and especially Mom, the relationship with Mom too, because Mom's evolved quite a bit. So Zor-El coming back just pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah, and you know what? It makes sense though. Once again, that they're going after these powerhouses. Yeah. This is another Kryptonian that you got to deal with. Now, granted, he's landing on a planet of Kryptonians, so it's going to be a little bit of a different fight for him. But this is a great usage of it. Yeah, once again, just thinking overall package. So
now they can take the hearts of Kryptonians too, because of the nature of their powers. So that's kind of the interesting thing, because these are these characters who are usually invulnerable to this type of thing. But I'm assuming there's no problem at all with taking the heart of a Kryptonian if they reach the right power levels, right?
I'm thinking, I think they probably could, but it's a powerhouse going against a powerhouse. So they have probably the Kryptonian strength, because they have all the powers of these when they come back. So they should have that same strength of the Kryptonian. So one Kryptonian could, in a sense, rip the heart out of another Kryptonian if it was just two Kryptonians fighting.
I'm going beyond, though. Forget the Kryptonian part. I'm going on the nature of the darkness. That power would be enough to rip the heart out of a Kryptonian. Because I think that has the taking of the heart has little to do with the superpowers and more to do with the power source of the darkness itself. At least, maybe we're seeing it differently. I don't know.
Well, no. There is a definite mystical element to the darkness power. So that alone should give them the strength, should give them the ability to do that. But I'm thinking also, just on top of that, you have physically strong enough to do it as well. If you had two Kryptonians who weren't under any influence fighting, the one could, in theory, rip the other one's heart out of their chest. So, either way, they'll be able to do it.
Now, do you think Kal is bringing back Jonathan Kent? Because that was the grave he was digging open, correct?
That was the grave he was digging up, so that right there tells me he didn't rise.
Well, yeah, he didn't rise yet. But I wonder, we'll have to talk a little bit later about what happened with Firestorm, because it was interesting that I think they only have a certain amount of power devoted to rings, and they have to generate more power to send out more of these rings. At least that's my theory on it. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that as we get to it, because I'm curious now if...
We saw a Jonathan Kent ring go out.
Okay.
In either the 0 issue or the first issue. Or
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing Jonathan Kent of Earth, but I never remember seeing Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, so why didn't he rise? Maybe that's something we're going to find out. Maybe you're right, an Agent of Peace, yeah.
You think about it. He's led a good life.
Yeah,
he died of a heart attack, which, kind of stinks. But this is a guy who's led a good life. He
wasn't murdered. He wasn't killed. It wasn't a heroic death where it was in battle or something like that. I'm wondering if we haven't seen yet the nature of why they can pull people and why they can't. You're right. Yeah. Maybe you're hit the nail on the head. He's at peace. I'm curious. I'm really that was an interesting first issue for me that I thought had all the right beats to it.
It's neat because that final sequence when Clark and Connor find Cal and Lois with Ma, you see him standing there and he's just taunting them because he's got one foot on Jonathan Kent's casket. And I was just like, oh, that's, because that was something, it took me a couple of reads that I noticed when he's standing there, because I'm looking at him, he's got the classic Superman pose, arms crossed, you see Ma Kent in trouble in the background, and then I looked and I was like, wait a minute, he's standing on, oh my God, that's a casket. That's Jonathan Kent. So I was just like, that's outstanding.
Let's weave back right into issue 3. I got to say, Barry's super cool in this whole thing. Because, like I said before, I liked seeing him post-Rebirth in this series. He's the hero that so influenced Wally here, and we can see why. Because Hal's looking at the bigger picture, but Barry's more grounded in the ramifications of him leaving. And I got a feel for Hal here, because even though he is not dating Carol, the attachment to her never left. Even if they don't wind up a couple, he still has feelings. They had years together, and I think this fits in most cases. We all feel something for most past relationships. Even if you aren't looking for it back, there still is those memories of something that you had. So do you think Hal deep down wants her back, or do you think that he's not in that place, Jim, I guess? Is it out of those deep feelings from the past because there's a definite distinction between the two? What do you think's going on there with Hal?
I'm thinking that's, right there, that was his gut reaction. I got to help Carol.
Yeah.
And that is a huge indicator on someone's heart.
Right.
It's that whole, boom, what's their first snap judgment is, bam, there's still feelings there. There's still that emotional connection. And I don't think this is based on the past. I think
you think it's present?
I still think there's definitely feelings that Hal has for Carol. And I think that's going to get explored, if not in this, maybe in his book, in the aftermath of Blackest Night. Will there still be, the Star Sapphires? Will Carol still remain, that whole thing? There's a lot of questions that are going to go unanswered. Well, when the series ends, there's still going to be more questions out there, I think. I think we're still going to get the color war. Well, the different colors are still going to be out there. And I think Carol's still going to be a Star Sapphire, and that's going to have, stories going on with Hal dealing with, Carol being that way. Plus, he's got Cowgirl, his current, squeeze, if they still are. Who knows? You kind of need a scorecard with Hal sometimes, but I think right here that was a strong emotional statement on where his heart is. His heart is with Carol. There's that connection. It's the Ross and Rachel. They may be with other people, but in the end, when everything's said and done, they're back together and they're together. And
I agree. I think I can see both sides of that. And I do think they are like the great love. I think Carol is Hal's great love. Because I do think there's situations where you can care deeply and you can have similar reactions to what Hal's having, but not want to go down that path again. You could still feel protective, but not for the same reasons. But I'm with you in the sense that I'm like, oh, this was kind of really telling with him that was his, because he was ready to drop everything for it.
Yeah, and
his world's about to get more complicated.
Oh yeah, his world. Yeah, it's definitely. Not even looking at Blackest Night, dude, and his love life is about to go, a little bit on the skewed. Who knows where the heck it's going to go to, which I think will make some interesting stories.
Now, Barry really steps up here because he talks
Yeah.
about Aqualad, Ray almost dying, Carter, Kendra. He's pointing out the need for Hal to be a leader. He can't just run off. The world needs a rally cry. I actually really dig this. Now, do you think Hal will be the leader of the new JLA, similar to what we're seeing in the mini?
I'm thinking we're going to see this is right here is the new chairman. Hal Jordan is stepping up, and he's going to be the head of it. It's when you look at that poster, of who is the new team in there. There are some veterans, but every one of the main veterans that have been around for a while will look to Hal for that leadership. You got Green Arrow, Adam. They're going to look to Hal for a leadership. Even Donna and Grayson, they're going to go to him. He's that veteran. He's the one who's been in the trenches the longest. And plus he's got a regular leadership style to him that it's. He does have a charm and a charisma about him that would say, yes, follow me. That's part of being a leader is you have to, you have to, step up and want to do the role. And we're seeing in Cry for Justice, Hal has started to step up saying enough is enough. But two, you have to be the personality that people will follow. You have to be the one that people say, okay, what should we do? What do you think? And I think we're going to see that in Hal. Well, we see that in Hal. And I think we're going to see that continue on in the JLA.
They both call each other out on their own recent issues. Barry's fear, he admits his fear, basically is to lose it all again. This actually connects me deeply with Barry. I think this is where his journey works if you follow it all the way through. Barry's rebirth has started out with him holding the world at an arm's length. And I think this is very real for us as readers. We felt his disconnect, and it did at first make it a little hard to connect with him. But as we've gotten more into his head and felt his journey, we remember our own times of feeling disconnected and what it took to get back. This guy feels so human now, and I really geek out at that. But I do think, at least my experience originally with reading Flash Rebirth was, it was really hard to connect with Barry at first, but it got, as it started building and getting better and better, and you started connecting with what Barry was going through, he felt like a very real person, very fleshed out all around. And the friendship aspect between the two here, I'm human. I've done some boneheaded things in my time, just like anybody. But when it comes to friends, I'd like to think I'm the kind of person that can be honest enough to call them on their issues, to offer support, but also to accept being called on mine, which isn't always so easy. And that's where these moments fit, because it fit like two best friends who could do that with each other, and they could get away with it.
Oh, definitely. I ate this up, because the thing I like, I said in the beginning of this discussion how, this issue really has made me want to see more of Barry. And I like how Hal's saying you were the fastest man alive who was always late because you stopped to befriend the people whose life you saved. You spent hours meticulously going over a crime scene just so you could find justice. And just seeing that about him, I was like, dang, that's okay. Yeah, I'm digging this. This is kind of a neat thing here. And just, as you said, he accepted. He's like, yeah, I did. I am running away from this. I'm not being who I was, but I'm coming back to this. This is who I am, and we need you, Hal, to be who you are. That was just like, I ate that up. It was a cool moment that they're like, hey, let's both slow down, figure out a plan. Really just nice moment.
Barry basically reaches him at this point, but the Black Lanterns have regrouped at this point, and the Indigos take Hal away. Now, how will this affect Hal? If he had stayed, which wasn't his choice, the events that happened next probably wouldn't have happened. At least that's the way I'm taking it.
Yeah, that was a kind of like, huh? What's going on here? They're like, even Hal's like, hey, wait a second, because it was funny because we just had this great discussion between the two of them about how, we need to just focus to this, and you can't go running off, and the Indigos take them away. Like, hey, dude, weren't you listening to the conversation these two had? They had a really touching moment here, and you're ruining it.
Now, the Indigos basically could have helped him, right? Or were they leaving to gather forces because they had the sense that an army would be unleashed, and if they did stay, the larger picture was more important to them, do you think? The larger, the bigger picture of this whole thing was more of what they were going for? I'm taking that because they got compassion, so I can't imagine them doing that unless they felt that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the three or four or whatever.
The needs of the few or the one. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what they were doing. But it was funny because, we talked earlier about just the rules of, surviving a horror movie. One of the rules is whenever you have those tender moments expect something evil to jump out. And once again, it's still living to that. We have this great tender moment between these two friends who come to terms with the stuff they made. Like, yeah, we'll work together. Everything will be great. Bam! All heck breaks loose.
Black Lantern Ronnie is able to split the Firestorm Matrix. And again, to gain an emotional response and to use it in a way that fits the understanding of the dead body that it latched onto. Ronnie needs another member of the Matrix to fill the Stein role. Not only for that knowledge, but also the emotional response he can generate by doing that. I think this is similar to the plan with the Spectre. Now, there are huge differences there, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm oversimplifying that. But I like to think that we see the emotional parasites using the nature of each returning body in a way that makes sense for the individual that they're using. And this is what worked here. Because I really liked seeing this shot of Jason tapping into the mind of Black Lantern Ronnie. And what interests me is what's missing. He sees what all the Black Lanterns are doing, like some kind of hive mind, but he doesn't see Ronnie's thoughts and memories as we would normally expect. I just thought that was very interesting in that reveal there. There was nothing there that was uniquely Ronnie. It was all Black Lantern.
Well, and it was all the different Black Lanterns that are, even some currently going on. We got the Scar there torturing people. You've got, there's this big eye staring, which I'm thinking is going to be whoever the big bad is. Mm-hmm. Hawk and Dove fighting it out. That, and even in the bottom corner there's the Spectre. I like the fact that this was the overall, and you hit it on the nail on the head there, just with the saying the hive mentality. I think this definitely, there's more to these lanterns. Well, we saw with Ray when he came back with his assessment of the ring. It's, there's an interconnection feeding, and it's, I want to know more. This is what a good crafting of a good story. As you're reading it, you're going, I can't wait for the next issue because I want to learn more. It just keeps going on. I really digged that whole thing with he knows how to split it, and then he was able to pull Jason into him. And I was just like, oh man, this is not going to end well. And you sit there, and I was just like, I just started thinking, dun dun dun. Another one bites the dust, Like, oh, bye, Jen. It was nice knowing you.
That's like a really bad Nightmare on Elm Street way of looking at it. Because dude, some twisted little spark there.
Yeah.
Jeez, what the?
As soon as I saw it, and he grabs her, and you see the fear just radiating through her, I'm like, oh no, man, oh.
But I mean, this is really dark. Because the twisted joke about Ghostbusters to pull out the salt. I mean, how do you recover from this, knowing you were on some level responsible? I mean, sure, it was totally Black Lantern driven, but it pulled the idea from him and made him watch. What will this do to Jason? Will Stein be able to pull him back? And we saw his levels jump up from 50 to 56.56, where it was like at 50-something earlier, taking her heart in that state, and she crumbled in front of him. Now, Jim, I got to ask you. We need to market Firestorm brand salt shakers. Because what would be the slogan? So good it could be your girlfriend? Too soon? Now, you know what? I would put it next to my Batman skull.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, dude, you want a little gem? You want a little gem on your sandwich?
Yeah. I knocked over the gem bottle. Let me throw a little bit of her over my shoulder.
We'd have one.
Dude, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Oh, no pun intended. Oh.
Yeah. No, we could put all those next to Osiris Lunchables. It'll be great. So
Dude, we are sick.
Now, did I read this right? He's using Jason as a battery, which allowed more rings to be released because all that emotion. He was talking about, boy, I can feed off of you all day. Because did you notice that's the moment when he took Jem's heart and power levels kicked up, more rings were released then. Why then? What just happened then?
Here's my thought on that.
Okay.
It's kind of like what Mira said earlier about how they feed off the emotion. Mm-hmm. So this was the stirring in the water that they needed. Before, when they were duking it out, when they were fighting, we weren't getting a strong emotional response from the heroes. It's Jason who, is the kid who can't control his anger, who can't control his emotion. Now he's feeling the rage, he's feeling the pain, he's feeling the loss, he's feeling the fear probably. So there's probably multiple things going through him, which is just kind of like that, the attractant to the flies. It's the rotting flesh that's going to bring in the rings. It's the feeding time. It's the feeding frenzy. If you want to keep the shark analogy going, it's that draw. It's the blood in the water that's going to draw more to them.
But in this case, the rings are being released to bring out the dead. So I took it that he's powered up, he's juiced up because of Jason. So now he's bringing out more people to seek out others who they can feed on. I didn't take it as that was part of like what Mira was talking about, as much as they now have the energy to bring about more. Like they need power to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you read it. I mean, you might have read it differently than I did. I'm just throwing out a theory.
That's actually because you think about when the rings first hit, they came on that hero day, where those emotions were at a high, especially at these different hero grave sites and at the tomb inside, and just these different locations where people are like honoring the dead and just remembering. There was that high emotional responses, which could have been the draw in to where to go to. And now in the Justice League, we have this more high emotional draw, high emotional energy, which is going to give them another site to go to.
Did you take it as things like, though, some of the deaths that Black Hand caused, for example, with his family, were those part of the kickoff of this? Were they part of the initial wave of rings? Was he responsible on some level for that first wave by committing those murders? Because she said they needed to happen.
Yeah, probably. That was probably the initial thing, and especially his own death was the initial, the beginning of it all.
Okay. I'm trying to. This is one of those great stories where you try to wrap your head around all the things that could have happened or what precipitated certain elements. I love that about this because I don't feel like I'm 100% sure of everything yet. And like you said, you said it the best before with that mystery aspect of this, how we're getting little pieces as we go along, and it's fun on the journey to start connecting pieces and threads. And maybe we're not all there yet, but to see things that might be possibilities here this is part of the fun of reading this.
Oh, big time. Back
in the crypt there, it's Black Bison, Max Lord, Dr. Light, the Weasel, Killer Frost, Alex Luthor, Copperhead, Dr. What was his name? Or no, Psychopirate. I'm sorry, not Doctor. Yeah. Psychopirate was one of the other ones that was coming out, and more. Just so many people coming out of there. Come on, guys. There are a few left upstairs. Wow.
Yeah.
And the blurb for next issue, power levels 100%. Will more mysteries be solved out of that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see who the big bad is, because once it reaches power level 100%, that's when the big bad's waking up. So
now, Black Hand's inner dialogue from the Book of Black, Chapter 1, Verse 2. It builds a picture off the Prelude issue. His brothers beat him with a stick. He did kill and stuff the family dog. What did that psychologically do to them? Not just him. I mean, your family pet was stuffed by your brother. You're going to be a little mad.
You're going to be a little bit miffed, but here's the thing with me. Uh-huh. When I was reading this, you know what I was hearing? I was hearing Michael C. Hall. His voice just ringing throughout his head. It was like he's a star of Dexter, if you don't know the actor.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way he does his inner dialogue on Dexter. And I can completely hear that same type of, just presentation of it. And there is no emotion to it. There is no thing. It's just this is what's going on. And it's kind of a very calm voice even. And you see that in him where, Black Hand's talking about how he doesn't have this emotion. He doesn't get angry. Even when his brothers were hitting him with the sticks, he was just thinking, hey, I wonder if it's the same stick they used to play with marbles, And I'm like, oh my God, how could you, it's just, I loved it. And because that just really makes him even more creepy. The fact that there is no emotional response to the fact that, he was being beaten up by his brother. His own mother thinks he's a monster. And his dad thinks, oh, we can get him fixed. There's just that whole, psychology of who, Black Hand is. Because he is very much a key, crucial element in this whole story. And we're seeing just his exploration and his involvement, infatuation, love of death, and you can't even say love of death because he doesn't have that emotional response. It's just who he is. It's just his being, his nature. And, these are the things at the back of the book that I really do look forward to. And you read through a couple times, and you kind of get, the groove going on. I'm like, man, this is a neat thing here.
He talks about the Spectre and the detective being gone. Do you think we'll see Crispus force his way out? Is Crispus still? Do you think Crispus is really gone?
I don't know. We definitely got a problem going on. Whenever Spectre, falls, there's major energy going on, because that's, that's the vengeance spirit of God. So, that's some serious power levels going on here. So, yeah, I definitely want to see more going on with Crispus and with Spectre. I would like to kind of see, Crispus versus Spectre, or even, I don't know.
It's because it's interesting to me. Is the Spectre going to be the one who brings balance? Is Black Hand wrong? Will we see the Spectre understand his role in a way he hasn't for a while? Or is Black Hand right in the sense that maybe the Spectre doesn't truly understand his nature? Because I think while we've seen Crispus and the Spectre kind of come into their own, I don't think we've really seen the full crossover yet. I'm wondering if maybe this is going to be where we see that. I don't know. What is the role of the Spectre? Is he, what is he fueling for the return? Is he the one is he just being used as a battery? Because we haven't really seen a whole lot of him since the initial turn. So what is the Spectre being used for? Is he a storage station? Is that what they're talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's the thing with, one of the things with the Spectre, the character alone does confuse me a little bit sometimes. And I think sometimes it's based on different writers writing him and different writers using him. There's always little changes. Like we saw in Revelations, kind of Crispus really coming to terms with who, really starting to come to terms with who he was as a Spectre. And we saw the beginning of that in his own series, then into the Revelations, and now into this, there's some more going on here. And his character is, you can't really explain him or deal with him in a panel or two. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to use him and what his role is going to be, because, one, that'll be another piece to the puzzle of who is the Spectre. What is the Spectre?
And the Phantom Stranger, too, because two interesting beings who I think have a similar problem. One on purpose. The Phantom Stranger, we haven't really been supposed to know everything. There's supposed to be a mystery to the Phantom Stranger. But is he an agent of the light? And he's been one of those characters in Madame Xanadu, which I know doesn't take place in the current DC continuity. But they've explored the themes of the Phantom Stranger in that, and I've really enjoyed his appearances in that book. It's funny how jazzed Madame Xanadu has for me to learn more of who the Phantom Stranger is and what his whole MO is and how does he play into all this. And is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing in this series or not? I don't know. But it's kind of a cool thing. This, to me, this issue 3, like you said, it solved so many mysteries for me and opened up more questions and more possibilities. So I think I'm in a very similar place that I was at the end of issue 2, but I know a lot more now than I did at the end of issue 2, and in a good way.
And the clue we talked about earlier, just showing the Phantom Stranger there in the artwork. Yeah, I thought that was kind of a neat, just what is his role. And I tell you, the more we talk, the more I think about it. I like the idea of him being the White Lantern, by the way.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know that I feel
idea. I do like that idea.
Do we have to have a White Lantern, though, in the sense that I'm thinking more... Remember how you talked about how different the Indigo tribe was? I'm thinking if the Phantom Stranger is somehow that agent or in that capacity and he doesn't even know it... And that might be the reason why he can only watch and observe and do certain things. Maybe that explains a whole lot about the way he operates and why he doesn't understand it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing here on this. Well, but I don't know if it's as simple as he's going to be a lantern as much as he's a connection between all of those power sources.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, you think about it this way. There's the balance. Mm-hmm. So he can only watch because if he took an active part, the balance, his equal opposite, would then be activated. So I think once we see who the big bad is for the Black Lanterns, then because the darkness has been operated, the light now can go put their piece in play.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about Blackest Night Titans, because with the amount of death in Titans over the years,
oh God,
talk about a book that really lends itself to being a part of this whole. It's written by J.T. Cruel, with pencils by Ed Bennis and inks by Rob Hunter, John Sabal, and J.P. Mayer. And I don't know, this Blackest Night Titans it's pretty cool so far. I it gives us an opening with Deathstroke and Red Star and Ravager, but then jumps right into the Titans really talking about the losses and having Kid Flash there reflecting on the fact that people are back now, and that the statues are taken down, but it wouldn't be great if they could all be taken down. It's such a powerful emotional moment. And Beast Boy with Tara, again, talk about a love where he fell for this girl and was totally duped. And she pulled him well, but there's that part of him that wants to believe, and who wouldn't be in his position? That's what I really love about him in that role, that there's part of her that it was true. It was genuine, and that maybe nobody else knew her the way that he did. And that's what he's thinking. That's what he's thinking. That's real.
And he also thinking, hey, everybody, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Maybe she isn't completely clean cut, but we can help her be better. There's the hero in her. We can bring out that hero in her. We can make her better. And it's just that, not change her, but change her. Bring out the good in her. Show her what is, how to use her powers, how to be the hero that she has on the inside. There's that whole I can fix you, I can reform you type mentality. We all kind of have. That's another thing we have with relationships and emotions. We sit there and we fall for somebody, and the first thing we want to do is we want to change them. That's on every side has that. So especially with Beast Boy, and just I can see that totally being another one of the theme.
I'm gonna make a caution on that one. I think if you fall in love with somebody and you immediately want to change them, you didn't fall in love with them. You fell in love with who you want them to be. There's a huge difference from that. I only say that because I'm married. I really don't want to change my wife. My wife and I will bicker over the dumbest stuff, like any couple does. But I don't think to myself, geez, I want my wife to be somebody other than who she is. You know what I mean? It's more so I want her to understand me when I bicker like that, but I've really never once thought that I want her to change. There's a huge distinction between that. I do think that there's certain people that think that they're in love with someone if they want to change them to be, if this relationship's will work, if this person will just change this way. Now, you don't really love that person for who they are then.
Now we are definitely seeing one of the differences between Sean and Jim in our relationships, because I've never had that relationship where I'm like, usually I'm on the receiving end of the change.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's an interesting distinction, though, because I do think we've all been where you're talking about before. I know I have. And I don't think you consciously do that, but you'll do dumb things where you'll kind of be like, well, this person will just change to that. And one thing I've learned in life, it's if you're with somebody and you really want them to change, then you don't love them for who they are. You love them for who you think they can be. And that's a terrible reason to be with somebody.
I can make them better, Sean. I can make them better.
You can make them faster. You can make them stronger. The 6 million dating experience. I like you're a bionic dater. But it's funny. I'm looking through this book, and one of the things that I really enjoyed in this was when Garth finally met up with Tara. I was like, wait a minute, why does she look so good? And I knew who Lilith was. It never even dawned on me that, there's Black Lantern Lilith who's helping instigate this whole thing. And Tara's going for the heart. The one part that really got me, there's two parts that really got me. First of all, I'm worried as can be. It looks clear that Hawk died at the end of the issue, the female Hawk.
Yeah.
And I liked the new Hawk and Dove a great deal. It's the same Dove, but I liked having them back. So I was like, oh no. So I'm hoping there is some way to undo a couple of these at least.
Yeah, it's that whole, can the people who die, can they come back? If their heart is somehow returned to them, or some mystic thing, who knows? Can that happen? I don't know. I'd like to think they'll be able to do that, because we've seen a couple people, and I'm like, dang it, they're cool. I want them around, and but part of me still thinks dead is dead, dude. I think once you've had your heart ripped out, it's kind of hard to come back after that one.
Also, my personal creepiest moment in any Black Lantern issue so far, Mommy, screak, 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 screak.
Oh.
Dude,
Dude,
They
man.
so did not go there.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. And here's the thing. I never read those stuff with Donna Troy and her husband and the kid. And even I was like, oh no. Oh God, no, that's not good.
No.
Ooh.
That hurts. You're
Yeah.
brave. JT Cruel, brave soul. But
Yeah.
that was a great issue.
Well,
It was a great issue. I got to compliment JT Cruel and the whole creative team for the put together of that issue because, wow, for a Titans fan, I read all that stuff. And whether you're, I don't know, for you as a newer Titans fan, more reading the new books, did you connect to that?
Oh God, yeah. And I was just about to say when I didn't read the original stuff, but I completely knew where they were going, and that is just a huge compliment statement to him that he was able to craft a story that tugged at my heartstrings, even though I didn't have that background. I didn't have the history that you had, and tugged at you through your history, but through that initial story that I was reading. I knew right away. I was like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. And and it just, that was oh man, when I read that was another one of the Blackest Night stuff that I'm like eagerly looking forward to the next one because I want to see where this goes. It's one of those things where I don't want to look because I know it's not going well, but I got to look and see. There's one of those, wow, it's the horror movie continuing on with that same horror movie feel that we have in Blackest Night. We're getting it in the side stories going on, and I just got to say, wow, nice job.
I want to talk a little bit about Blackest Night Batman #2 because it was another one just came out recently, and for me to see characters like, especially Deacon Blackfire, the Cult. If you had to ask me to make a top 5 list of my favorite Batman stories, every single time, if there's, that will change for me from time to time based on news stories, based on rereading of stories. But one story that's always wound up there that I think is really underrated is The Cult. It's a wonderful story by Jim Starlin. It's one of those stories that, like I've referenced it before on the show as being the story that made me vote to save Jason Todd because he was just so cool in it. But Batman coming back and rescuing the city from Deacon Blackfire. If you haven't read The Cult, do yourself a favor. It's one of the better Batman stories of all time.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, and I gotta agree with just seeing what we're seeing with the dead coming back with the Flying Grayson's return.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's just such this issue is just such a great story because we get to see the original ventriloquist back, we get to see Black Hand back, Blockbuster, all these people that are basically using the bat signal as a way to emotionally not only threaten Batman, but imagine being a citizen of Gotham, already a very dark place, and you see this twisted bat signal up in your sky. It gonna make you a little creeped out, yeah.
Oh, big time.
So for an emotional charge, this is what it's going to go through. And Deadman in this whole sequence of events to me as well. He, in this series, I didn't realize how much I would enjoy Deadman and all this. Boston Brand is a very awesome character. Between this and Wednesday's comics, I am so Deadman happy at the moment. I would read a series with Boston Brand, like a mini series or a regular series with Boston Brand right here and right now.
You know what? I got to agree with that statement. He never was one of my kind of favorite of the characters, and I always just kind of shied, but just, this series, I'm digging it, and his interaction and his, jumping into Barbara was just outstanding. I was like, oh my God, this is outstanding. I loved just especially how he covered, for Barbara's secret. We were saying, wow, she's really kept herself in shape, even though he knew she was Oracle. He knew she was training. He knew she was Batgirl at one point in time. But I liked how he still covered, Barbara's secrets so, Gordon wouldn't know about it.
That is one of the things that I like about him because he has the opportunity to really mess up some lives seriously.
Yeah.
And he always, he makes some great choices there. And I'll take back what I say, where he belongs right now. I am loving the second feature so much.
Yes.
That I think he's a great character that maybe he can't carry his own book, but how cool would he be as a second feature in some book? I think there's a lot of books that don't have second features right now. I'd like to see more of them. And I mean, obviously not every character that I would want to see in a second feature will necessarily make a second feature, but I do think it's a good way to take some of these characters that maybe can't carry their own title. And if they're not going to do anthologies, this is a great solution because those few extra pages a month for me are offering a lot of bang. As long as they keep putting great creative teams on them. They aren't fluff pieces. None of them are. There's not one of those second features right now that I feel like, wow, this is just nonsense and fluff. I want to actually genuinely follow those stories. I do think there's a couple of them right now that I think when that's all said and done, or when, maybe 4 or 5 issues of them are in, I want to go back and read them, and get a little bit more of the story in one sitting. But I'm enjoying them. I think they're really great. And he's somebody that could lend himself to that.
And I tell you, I love these Gordon sequences.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout all of this, you really see that Gordon knows how to throw down, but just him and Barbara working in together. Just when he's sitting there, he's unloading the gun, shotgun's empty. He's like, empty, here, reload. And she did the reload, and bam, and he just continues on just blasting, shot after shot from the 12 gauge. Double lock puck, chewing the thing up with the Black Lanterns. They don't die that way. You can't kill them that way. They're going to keep regenerating, and he just keeps firing and firing.
And a lesser man would run away.
Oh, God, yeah. But
it's his daughter. He can't.
Yeah, he can't leave her. He won't abandon her. He will never quit. And that was just like, yes, this is why he's the commissioner. He's not, we said before that great stories really write him, so he's not just the guy waiting for Batman to do his thing. He is still the commissioner of Gotham City, which is a nasty, nasty place to be a cop in. But you know what? He's tough as nails. He knows what to do. And when it's time, he can throw down with any of them.
But he almost died there because of the kind of man that he is. And I love that. I really respected that about him. I think that was very cool. I also want to talk about the no gun rule. I love that coming into play here.
Yeah.
How Batman was looking for weapons that would fit their MO, that would still honor Bruce. And how that code is really important to him, just as important to him as it was to Bruce, to maintain what Batman stand for. Because he, as a person, one of the reasons why he wanted to become Batman was to maintain that symbol, to maintain what that stands for. And this bit with him, I thought was, just some great writing and some great reasoning behind it. And even, we got Damien, Merry Christmas. And here I thought guns were on the list of things that we don't use. And I just... some great Damien moments that are very well written here that I just really enjoyed as well. This is another fun miniseries that I think so totally captures the mood and tone of what's currently going on in the Bat books. Red Robin showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, coming in the Bat plane was so awesome. Get your magnetic harnesses up. If he didn't show up, these guys would all be dead.
Oh yeah, it was but here's the thing, and like with any horror movie, just when you think they're getting away, it ain't over yet. Because what happens? The Flying Graysons show up and they rip the top off of the plane, and it goes down into a cemetery of all places. Woohoo! Great place to go.
And what's the interesting part here is when we see they've got Gordon and Barbara in there as well. They go crashing into a cemetery. Now, is Jim Gordon in the plane here? You're reading it that way?
Yeah.
Jim Gordon's in the plane? So they're ripping open the top and referencing him as Timmy, and the Flying Graysons are back together?
Oh, God, yeah.
Where is Jim Gordon during that?
Only thing I'm thinking is Gordon isn't too conscious. He's a little bit out of it when they pull him in.
Do we see him get on the plane, though, or just Barbara? Because I'm looking there, we see him hand up Barbara. I'm assuming that Jim gets in there as well, right?
Yeah, he goes, here, give me your hand, Commissioner. It's time to get out of here and regroup.
Yeah.
Is the line. So, yeah, he's in that plane.
And he's got to be out. I'll take it as you're right. He's probably out cold. I'm interested to see what happens next issue with that, which is the penultimate issue. The ending issue of this. I keep forgetting it's a 3-issue, not a 4-issue. I'm so used to 4 issues.
Yeah.
So this is the last part of this. But very, very satisfying. And that bat plane looked very cool.
Yeah, I know. Definitely looks cool. And I love the sequence when Grayson first sees his parents. He's like, Mom, Dad, and you can see the tear coming out of the costume.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you read Solomon Grundy number 7?
Yes, I did. I didn't
expect that.
No, we should have. We're like, Come on, it should have been a natural thing. And I liked how that series ended. It definitely, it actually, did the good guys win or the bad guys win?
Well, it's funny. He was all along. He was trying to discover who killed him, and he had to come to realization he committed suicide because he didn't want anyone else to have that power over him. He didn't want anyone else to take that from him, and so finally he gets punished. And did you get that he was taken down to hell? The pits of hell?
Dude. Yeah, his soul was pulled down to hell, which left the dead body of Solomon Grundy available. So, hey, you got a dead body with nothing in there.
Right.
What fills in the role? Black Lantern ring. I was like, ooh.
And then we follow that into Superman, Batman 66 and 67. So it's
I'm looking for
creative.
definitely. Oh, yeah. Looking forward to seeing that. I want to see where that goes.
I didn't see that miniseries tying into this. I was pretty shocked.
Yeah.
Really, really good month for Blackest Night. I mean, wow. Can we talk a little bit quickly about the JLA team preview? Because we got to see in here, the team lineup is Congarilla, Mon-El, Batman, Dick Grayson Batman, Donna Troy, Ray Palmer, Green Arrow, Starfire, which was a big surprise actually to me, Hal, Cyborg, which I know you're thrilled about, Guardian, and I didn't see Guardian coming either, the female Dr. Light. This is an interesting dynamic of veterans, newer members, and then, just some major players from the DC universe that you wouldn't normally expect. You know what? I'm liking Congarilla so much in the mini that I'm really glad that we're going to see more Congarilla in here, because the way he was playing off Starman in the mini, I really had a blast with.
Oh, definitely. It's that character that you go, huh? Who's that? What the heck's going on here? Why are they pulling him in? But you know what? If the writer's got a plan for him, let's see it. Let's rock and roll with this.
Starfire and Dick Grayson on the same team. I was hoping for this, but I didn't see it happening.
Well, we're getting the Titans reunion on this team, which, Donna Troy, Grayson, we've got, Cyborg and Starfire. So I'm like, yeah, let's, they're ready for it. They are heroes. Why not bring them in? It's time to see what we got. And in that discussion we had about who will be the leader, naturally makes sense for Hal to step up and be the leader of this team. Yeah, the other heroes are heroes. They are really, they're powerhouses. They know what they're doing. They are A-listers, in my opinion. But here's the thing. Hal is one of the veterans. Hal has been around for a while. He is the person they will look to for, for the leadership.
A couple other news bits that I want to talk about. This time, direct-to-DVD. We've got Justice League Crisis on 2 Earth. It's coming in the spring of next year. And it's an original story from award-winning animator and comic writer Dwayne McDuffie from Justice League, rooted in DC Comics' popular canon of crisis stories. And Bruce Timm is going to be involved, Lauren Montgomery from Wonder Woman and Green Lantern, Sam Liu from Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. They're co-directors of this one. In Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths, a good Lex Luthor arrives from an alternate universe to recruit the Justice League to help save his Earth from the crime syndicate, a gang of villainous characters with virtually identical superpowers to the Justice League. What ensues is the ultimate battle of good versus evil in a war that threatens both planets, and through a diabolical plan launched by Owlman, puts the balance of all existence in peril. And wow, this is cool. Mark Harmon, I should say, is Superman. James Woods as Owlman. Chris Noth is going to be Lex Luthor. William Baldwin, Batman. Gina Torres as Superwoman, and Bruce Davison as the President. So it's interesting, and this is something I picked this up off of Newsarama. I came across the article, and I'm like, ooh, we should talk about this.
So they're going to do different voices for the different characters. They're not going to make it Bruce Wayne is both of them in each one, or maybe it is Bruce Wayne, but it is a different voice, which is actually kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. And speaking also about film news, I guess this Siegel litigation is putting a new Superman movie on hold. Like, this is which I thought that was forcing it. So I don't understand.
Well, I think what DC is doing is saying you can't force it. Go ahead and sue us, because that was the whole thing with that came out. They would have the option to sue. It didn't say that they would have it and it had to be done. They're throwing it out there as the option of, because if DC and Warner Brothers were holding back and not using the property, holding back payments intentionally from, going to the Siegel family, they would have the opportunity to sue. So it's kind of like I don't know. I'm reading this as DC and Warner Brothers are saying, fine, let's see what you got. You know, kind of like calling them out on it. But I think, I don't know. Once again, I am not an attorney, nor do I pretend to be one. I'm just throwing out my opinion on when I read that stuff, that, you know, you read it from one perspective, and they say it's a foregone conclusion that this is going to happen. You read it from the other perspective, they say it's never a foregone conclusion. First rule in law, with any type of law dealings, it's not what the law says, it's what you argue in court. So if they're willing to go to court, if they're willing to fight this, if they're willing to throw down, maybe they're going to say, hey, let's see what the resources we have can do against you guys. We could be seeing a fight, or who knows? This could be just another. I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thing that I'm curious to find out more information on it.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I don't pretend to know what's going on. I haven't read enough. I agree with you. I think we need more information because I don't know what is driving this move. To my opinion is always this: if nothing is made, nobody makes any money. Now, obviously, there might be legal reasons. There obviously not might be. There are legal reasons that are holding this up on both ends because obviously both sides want there to be a movie made. It's good for DC. It's good for the Siegel family. It's good ultimately for the Schuster family as well.
Yeah.
Down the road, it's good. This is not good for anybody that this is on hold at the moment. Things get tied up in legal litigation for so long, a lot of times to the detriment of all parties involved. Because all people are doing right now is spending money, not making money, at least on this avenue. So I don't know the reason why. I can't pretend that. I'm not going to say that it's DC's fault. I'm not going to say that it's the Siegel family. At this point, I don't really care about that either. I just thought it was interesting to note that because I took it as the last conversation we had about this from the announcements about the way things turned out, that it was pretty much so a lock that we were getting a new Superman movie for a certain amount of time. Now it looks like things are stalled on that end, which is pretty strange considering what we last heard. So I would love to know more of it's interesting to follow this because I'd love to know more on where this is going and why. So I hope this is something that they do straighten out.
Reaching melting point. Not sure we can make it.
Jim, I'd like to talk just about a couple listener emails, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this one's from Jason Arnold, a Soviet war child. And actually, he said this as a private note, but I got his permission to air it on the show. Just wanted to drop you a private note, and I think you guys rock with Raging Bullets. And thanks in no small part to you guys, I have become more of a DC Comics reader than a Marvel Comics reader. So thank you for that. Since I had only ever read Marvel, except for now, that when DC had a comic that I wanted to read when I was a kid, back when they had put out things like Cyber Cops, which did not last long, but was one of the cartoon shows I used to dig as a kid way back in the day. And it's actually something I relate to him on. Cartoon shows used to drive a lot of my purchases. I'm in comics because of things like Super Friends and the 60s Spider-Man cartoon and, Batman and Robin had a TV series that was on. That was a cartoon one as well. So when I saw that it had a comic, I got into it. Anyway, I wanted to also point out to you as well as Jim that you too have to be careful when you're talking about military troops past and present, and even just in comics, that the term soldier only applies to the Army. If you're talking about a Marine, the term is Marine. If you're talking about the Navy, such as the Pearl Harbor, it's sailor. Air Force is airmen. Coast Guard is coasties. Not to be picky, but I have friends who are Marines, and my father and uncle all served in the Navy, and they hate it when people use the term soldier as if it's interchangeable with troops. Thus, when in doubt, use the term troops. So keep on raging, Jason Arnold, a.k.a. Soviet war child. So, and I just started thinking to myself, soldier is a term that's used a great deal in literature and film, although I'm starting to wonder now if I've seen more films featuring the Army. I don't know. Do you know anything about this?
He's 100% correct. There's it's, in a way, and, it's, yes, people would say it's nitpicking, but you ask any Marine, they will tell you, I am a Marine. And you ask any sailor, they'll say they're a sailor, and same thing airman. He's 100% correct in his statements, and to be honest, I usually, for me personally, because my family is such a strong Army family, we talk soldier. because especially my brother is currently currently in the he's a lieutenant colonel in the Army. So with us, soldier is the common reference. But if you with the Marine, they are Marines, and it's a touchy subject, and definitely never intended any form of insult towards any of our any of the troops out there. Just because
I don't remember doing that.
Oh yeah, we did.
Did we?
We talked soldiers. Yeah, we talked about the the American soldier and stuff like that. And we're talking.
I see what he's saying. When we're talking about, we use American soldier as a term that's all encompassing versus breaking it down. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we talked about the brave soldiers who were over in Pearl Harbor fighting, throwing down, and we did use the term soldier a lot. So he's 100% correct on what he's saying. So, but I think he understands that we're not trying to be insulting, and especially you didn't know the truth.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. I have no military background to speak of.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's nitpicky. It's more of a.
No.
It's an ignorant. It's for me. It's clearly an ignorance thing, and I thought it was interesting. That's why I asked him. I said, "Can we read it on the show?" Because I wanted to talk to you about it. I'm like, I don't remember doing it because I didn't realize I was doing it if I was. So the proper term is troops. Then I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the general term if you want to talk or refer to a general. Well,
I have no background to speak of, so usually when I refer to our armed forces, I tend to refer to them in generalities because I don't have.
To be honest, most people do that, and they do refer to them as soldiers. And I don't think anyone's intending any insult. But when if you're like talking about a specific unit, like you're talking about if you're talking about a Marine unit, then you would call them Marines. But if you're talking a general comment, most normal people, and this is even including the news readers that we have on the various news channels, they're going to say soldiers as well. It's one of those things where I don't think anybody intends any insult by it, but there are definitely people who would take offense to it because and it's funny with me. I as I said, I'm a strong Army family, so we say soldier a lot here, but usually when I refer to a Marine, I do refer to them as a Marine just because I have. I had a couple uncles of mine who were, Marine Corps, and when they got out, they were Marine Corps Legion, the Marine Corps League, So it's, once you become a Marine, you are a Marine for life. You join the Army, you join the Navy, you become a Marine. So there's that whole definite distinction amongst the Corps that, is always a hoorah, that I do, I still get a kick out of watching, their commercials. And you see these guys who are retired who haven't worn the uniform in years, but they still, in their hearts, minds, and bodies, are a Marine. And it's something that will never end. So, there's definite, proper ways to address people that,
I don't have the background, and that's what it was. It's interesting. I'm glad that he mentioned this. So I'll have to try I'll have to try and catch myself because I do think I've conditioned myself to say soldier and think that I'm meaning it in a positive way. That I'm being respectful, and obviously I don't understand the terminology. So that's that's why I thought it was interesting. I told him, I said, can I share this on the air? Because I thought it was an interesting point that he brought up. So kind of cool. All right. Hey, Sean, just noticed something in Blackest Night #2. You two on the last episode asked if the sharks were alive and dead. You were thinking alive, but that they were dead. Look close at the sharks. You can see the decay with the black patches. I believe that Black Lantern Aquaman commands the dead sea creatures. Not good. Can he bring back prehistoric creatures? That could be bad, with like mega sharks and all the big bad sea creatures from dinosaur times. So I'm with you. You thought they were dead sharks with sunken eyes? I think you're right. Just getting ready to go to my local comic shop to get the last couple weeks of comics. I have to travel an hour and a half to my local comic book store, and lucky for me, my local comic book owner likes me and is meeting me there on his day off because my new hours at work won't let me go get comics when he's open. And that's Matt Brandel, a.k.a. Stone Cold Matt. And that, to me, was like, whoa. His local comic book owner is going to open up the I wish he'd told me the name of the shop. I would have loved to shout it out. So, Matt, if you hear this, send me an email again or call in on a voicemail and give us the name of that shop because I just think it's cool to shout out a local comic book shop that recognizes that one of his patrons travels an hour and a half to get books and opens up. I think that's very cool. And it's great to hear stories like that. So I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I mean, that's interesting. If they are dead creatures, what does that mean? And how much are we going to see with how many Black Lanterns are coming up? Are we going to see any more spotlights on Aquaman? And if so, what is that spotlight going to? I would imagine with Mira playing such a heavy role, we're definitely going to see more Aquaman. I don't know how much we're going to see the sea creatures, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot more Aquaman. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to get some more Aquaman because, one, he's a really cool-looking evil villain, that we got to have him back. He has, that quality to him that says, oh, my God, this is not going to be good. So, yeah, definitely. I don't know if we're going to see the creatures, any more of the sea creatures, unless there's going to be one of those epic battles of, land, sea, and air. So maybe we'll see, Mira commanding the living creatures, Aquaman commanding the dead creatures, and, who knows? That could be a definitely interesting thing. It never dawned on me about prehistoric creatures, though, so yeah.
The Stephen King just sent me a couple emails. I'm just going to kind of put them both together. Here's a viewpoint you guys missed on the lengthy Superman curing cancer discussion. Regardless of whether he could cure cancer, he would cure cancer if he could, I find it much more likely that he would strenuously avoid giving false hope to a person he knew to be dying of cancer by suggesting that he might be able to. I expect the thought process of what he was telling Leone had less to do with him being dishonest with himself than being needlessly cruel. That was an interesting perspective on the whole. It's funny how you can take that story and read it a lot of different ways. Like when I read that, I'm like, okay, I kind of see his point too.
Big time, yeah.
Yes, I mean that Superman wouldn't do that. It's interesting. I thought that was one of the interesting things about bringing up that discussion at all. And he did add that he enjoys the City of Heroes interlude on the recent episode. So, with your professed self-interest, flying past a woman getting her purse snatched to deal with something better, you're telling us that you are both playing the 90s Booster Gold, right? Have either of you picked up any good advertising tie-ins? I'm just wondering if listeners can maybe get a deal on Choco's T-shirts or Belly Burgers in the game. On the Dead is Dead discussion, here's an idea you sparked in me. As we know, there is a long history in major comics of dead rising. What if the only way to defeat the Black Lantern animated corpses is to bring the original person back to life and have them lead the charge? I just had this mental image of magic users getting them together and using the existence of these walking corpses as a focal point to bring back the original, or maybe even as a vessel for the original to return, solving two problems with a single blow. Last little thought is on your gravestones. Again, I had this magical vision of two black rings heading to the graves of Sean and Jim, and just as the corpses are coming out of the ground, somebody drops the hammer of Thor on them. Impossible at DC, I guess. Yeah, no, see, I just think that there's a Black Lantern disinterest in us.
Well, no, I think, dude, I know what it is, man. We're at peace.
Yeah.
We are at peace.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. I don't feel at peace. Do you?
Never.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, really?
I'm not at peace while I'm alive.
I know you well enough to know you're not at peace at all. Yeah. We got that Hal and Barry relationship going, dude. I know you. I liked his thought about the dead as dead discussion. I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
It's clear to me now that the essence of the dead person, the true essence of the dead person, is not in there. So does that leave open? I don't know. I don't know if that leaves open the possibility or not of them coming back on some level. But it did strike me as interesting when he mentioned that.
Yeah, once again, we keep saying how the more answers we get, the more we want to know. There's more mystery coming through, and this is one of those circumstances where this could exactly be the exact answer. Maybe that's the way to bring back, to stop these things. Because when we talked about with the Indigo Lanterns, how they only took out Sue and Ralph. Can they not do the other ones? Who knows? So maybe that's the thing I'm loving about Black Lantern, Blackest Night, that we are getting these pieces as the story's going on, but we still have more of a mystery to go. This is, next issue will be the halfway point. Not at the, we're not at the end yet. And plus we have all these other side stories that we're getting little pieces of the puzzle from. I'm loving the way this is laid out, and I'm eating it alive, man.
And this last one's from Mart. Don't know if you guys had the chance to read JSA versus Cobra yet, but friend of the show, Art Lion, does a cracking job. I've reviewed it at my usual tedious length, and we have a link to Mart's blog on our website that's in community content in our column section. Mart has been a great friend of the show, and Mart actually just sent me an email just saying that he was having some trouble posting in the forum, so he hasn't been there as much lately because of that. But if you haven't had a chance, check out Mark's blog. Mart's blog. I'm back with my Porky Pig syndrome from last week. Yeah. But Mart has been a wonderful supporter of the show, so thanks, Mart. And, yeah.
We are crystal men from Mercury. We have no quarrel with you.
And we're going to have more emails and voicemails midweek. We're going to release that on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not quite sure yet when that episode's. It depends on when Jim and I are able to record. But as always, check out the website and the forum. We had AT&T come out today to my house to do a repair, and it actually pushed back when Jim and I were going to record tonight. And I was going to push the whole episode back to tomorrow. And I'm like, well, Jim, I can Skype you in, and we could get some Blackest Night discussion and get an episode out tonight. So that's why this one's going to be a little shorter than usual. But I hope you all enjoy this effort and this offering. I know it's a little bit less edited than the usual shows that we do, but I wanted to get you some content out today because, like I said, I've got 11 pages worth of content to talk about, and that's more than our usual show anyway.
A nice light episode for us.
Yeah. But more listener content on the next episode as well, because I really have fun talking about these. And I'm going to try to bring as much. We're going to continue using the voicemails. Those will be on our next show. But I want to bring the emails back as well and try to get more of the. I miss the listener content. So both of those are going to be in force on our next few shows just to get you guys back a part of the discussion, which I've always liked. So thanks so much for sending those in. Jim, our sponsors for this episode are DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com, where you can check out Blackest Night number 5 of 8, which includes a free Green Lantern Corps ring. Written by Jeff Johns, art and cover by Ivan Rice and Eau Claire Albert, variant cover by Rodolfo Miglari, and the sketch variant by Ivan Rice and Eau Claire Albert. I know I did a whole bunch of name butchery there, and I apologize. This is the one, I don't want to say too much about this other than watch the cover, avoid the cover if you don't want to know who the big bad is. It was teased on IGN quite a while ago, but this is the cover that really does reveal who's behind everything. The regular price is $3.99, 40% off, only $2.39, which is a great discount. If people talk about there's a lot of tie-ins and things like that in comics nowadays, if you can get them at a discount, this is a great way to save some money. The variant cover, for those of you that are collectors of variants, is $16. It's great to be able to get the variant ahead of time if you like variants. I tend to get variants periodically if I know that the cover artist is somebody that I really enjoy. A great example would this be, I tend to pick up variants for sure that feature Gene Ha, because I happen to really enjoy the artwork of Gene Ha. So when I see that he's doing the variant cover, that tends to be a grab for me. It's worth it to get that original artwork on that cover. So for anybody that's into the Rodolfo Migliari art, this is a great chance to get the variant and guarantee that you have it. So that's kind of cool. And I like that DCBService.com offers that.
I've gotten a couple of the variant covers because of it's easier for me to order it and make sure I get it, and same deal. So, yeah.
The Preacher hardcover is going to be our In-Stock Trades Rage of the Month. We're going to be, our next episode, we just said we're turning this into a two-parter because you and I have got just way too much to talk about. Then our next episode after that is going to for sure be the wrap-up of For Tomorrow. Then we're probably going to do a single episode of some more current stuff because there's a ton of things going on throughout the DC universe that we haven't had a chance to chat about that I really like to discuss. So I want to get that in, and then we're going to go, because that Preacher offering, I'm doing my notes on it. This is going to be, for those of you that are Preacher fans, we are going to really dissect this baby because I'm really excited to talk about this one. And this is one where, as I'm doing my notes, there's so much that I want to say and that I've got to say. That hardcover covering issues 1 through 12 is regularly $39.99, 47% off, only $21.19. You can get Volume 1 and Volume 2 in trade, $14.99 regularly. 47% off, only $7.94 each. So it's a great chance to get them almost 2 for 1. But thank you, InStockTrades.com and DCBService.com for continuing to support us. Want to remind everyone about the Hero Initiative. We have a handy-dandy link on ragingbullets.com. We also have one for comics4sight.com that ties in with this show episode. Please consider supporting John Ostrander. Remember that anything over what they're looking for, they have some wonderful, I think they're still running the auctions. Every time I check, there's a number of auctions running. But there's also, if you're like, the auctions, it's a little out of my price range, it's not the route I want to go, don't feel like you can't participate. I think a lot of times people go, I only got a few bucks here. I know times are tough and the economy's tough. But really, the price of a comic book is always kind of my rally cry. And if we all do that and we all pitch in together and do it, we can make as a podcasting audience, as a group here of listeners, whether you listen to our show first or a bunch of other shows, whatever, please consider in the forums that you're at encouraging people to post, to just do the price of a comic book. Because to me, that is something where we can show as a fandom community that we can make a difference and that we care. Anything that they get over that goes to the Hero Initiative. So the amount of money that they need to pay for his operation, all that money that's extra goes right to the Hero Initiative, which I think is great because we all know that if there's extra money, it'll go towards something. And I'd like to see us hit that. I'd like to see them need to give money to the Hero Initiative because that's really a powerful statement of what we're capable of if we do that. So it's my rally cry to say, let's show them that we can do this and that we can kick it over and that they give money to the Hero Initiative because we as fans are just that cool. So I think that's great. I think we should do that. So go there and donate either that or get some of these great things that are in the auctions. I just think it's awesome. And so I wanted to shout that out. And one last thing I want to shout out, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and we're going to talk more about this midway through this week because I have got an intense amount of notes on Secret Six, which we're going to talk on the next episode about Superman because there's a ton of stuff to talk about in Superman with Codename Patriot and the after effects of Codename Patriot, where things are going, like the hunt for Reactron that's up right now. I want to talk about that. But we have to talk about Secret Six. I want to talk Wonder Woman. I've got a whole, like Magog, I want to talk about, Jim. I want to talk some Batgirl. So I don't know if we're going to get everything that I even want to talk about in on our next episode. But those are some things that are coming for sure. Wonder Woman and Secret Six for me for sure. And Superman is for sure next episode. Gail Simone has a Wonder Woman forum that is on the Comic Book Resources site. There's a direct link in our show notes and on our website. Consider joining it. One of the great things about, if you're a fan of Wonder Woman or Gail Simone's work in general, the great thing about posting in her forums is she's an active participant. She's done this on the DC Comics forum site for quite some time. The Comic Book Resources forum she's heavily active in. And it really is, the idea is this, I love the way her forums are put together theme-wise, in the sense that the idea is you can have differing opinions, but we all need to respect each other. And I've always liked that about her forums because, it's something that we try to do in our forums. We have these great examples. Deadpool and myself this week had a wonderful discussion about DC Entertainment and just our own opinions on it. And I encourage you to check those out on the forum because it was a great discussion about two friends because I consider Deadpool a friend. And it really was one of those things where he's like, dude, I got some issues with some of the things that you're saying. Here's my viewpoint. And it's really one of those discussions at the end. Who's right? Who's wrong? It doesn't matter. We just had fun having a talk. And that was cool for me. And that's one of the things that I really like about the forums and the forum community. You get that same thing over in Gail Simone's forum, where whether you want to talk about Wonder Woman past and present, a lot of times they have discussions that wind up a little outside that, which is a lot of fun. She's got some great moderators running it. I just went over there and started posting myself, and I'm going to keep being a participant there as well, so I encourage you to go over there and check it out. But I thought it was kind of a cool thing that there's a new forum up for Wonder Woman fans, because I think Wonder Woman is super cool right now. And I want to talk next episode about her and Dinah, and just how cool that team up was to see Birds of Prey, Dinah Lance back under Gail Simone's, even just for a brief period of time. Because I'm loving her in Green Arrow, Black Canary, but I also love seeing that Simone touch on her as well when we get to it. Yeah. So it was cool to see that. So I just wanted to shout out her new forum. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more. I'll actually have posted more there. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week on the show when we talk Secret Six on Wednesday or Thursday, because I can't wait. I've got some stuff that I really want to talk about from Secret Six, and you should see the notes that I have just on that issue alone. I also have, I'll tell the listeners this, there's a little bit of a teaser for that. I have a new show contest that revolves around that issue of Secret Six.
Ooh.
There is a new show contest. So next episode, I'm going to announce our new show contest. And Jim,
I honestly do not know what the new contest is, so I'm looking forward to finding out too.
You will look forward to finding out because you're a central focus of that contest. So,
oh God, oh no!
So I can't wait till Wednesday to announce the new. Matter of fact, I'm shooting for Wednesday. It'll be Thursday at the latest, but I'm shooting for Wednesday because I want to get details of that contest out there, and I got to save it for when we have the discussion about Secret Six.
Okay.
You might want to reread the issue, though.
Yeah, I'm scared now. I am getting a little bit nervous here because I remember a lot of stuff that happened in that issue, and I'm going, "Oh God, it could be that, or it could be that, or oh, this could be interesting." Yeah.
Oh, I love this show. Anyway, we will see you in a few days.
Bye.
And no, I'm not going to tell you what the contest is.
Yeah, oh no, I wasn't going to ask.